It was this t-shirt that got me interested. Men cry, care, read, love, think, build, love, forgive. So beautiful. Still at the Consent Fest and now talking with Toby Fraser.
Yeah, my name is Toby Fraser. I use he, him pronouns. I used to work at Lutheran Settlement House. It's a domestic violence nonprofit here in Philadelphia. And we have a program that we call the Masculinity Action Project. So we're organizing men, anyone who's aligned with masculinity, to change what it means to be a man and how it's such a rigid box currently in our culture into something more expansive, and also about taking action for gender justice in the world.
Wow, beautiful. So how did you first get interested in it? Why did you think it mattered? Or was there any event?
Yeah, there were a couple. It was definitely a lifetime process, for sure. So there's some feeling on the outside in certain ways myself growing up and realizing this thing that we call masculinity, or the ways I was taught to be a man, just didn't work for me. And then I was politicized in the anti-war movement and in environmental groups that were mainly white. And so it was a lot of pushes around the way that sexism was showing up. And so I just was lucky enough to have people in my life from early on poking at me to say, hey dude, this isn't okay. We need to do something about sexual assault. We have to do something about domestic violence. If we have to take a stand, things have to be different. And can you talk to other men about it specifically?
And I think that's so beautiful about it, that you're a man yourself, that you are taking the action, and
we're trying.
And really taking steps to changing what it means to be masculine. So is that still true nowadays, that boys are still taught that they're not supposed to cry, you think? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, it's a little bit shocking because it's been that way for a long time. There's a researcher named Terrence Real who has done a lot of looking at this, and he talks about how interviewing people who were raised in the 1940s and then kids who are raised today, I think this is a few years ago, but you know, in the later or mid 2000s, who talk about what does it mean to be a man, and would have similar answers.
Really?
Kids today as it's the same as it was back in the 40s. So a lot of the work around gender justice and changing our culture has been very necessary and very focused on women, femmes, trans and non-binary folks, and like expanding what freedom can be for people with those identities, while men have been kind of left out of those convos, right? In a lot of ways deservedly so, because of all the violence that is perpetrated by men. And if we never look at that side of the equation, then we're gonna be the anchor holding back our whole world from progressing.
And do you think the pressure is coming mainly from other men to not cry, etc., or is it also from women? It's almost my experience that women also sometimes talk like this.
It's definitely tricky, right? When we're in a male supremacist world or living within a patriarchy where everyone is taught this is what it means to be a man. Only certain people, only people who are, coded, gendered into masculinity are held to that standard. But everyone knows that's what it means to be a man. So yeah, my mom could enforce it on me just as much as my dad or uncles or whoever.
And how do we change this now? Like how can we, I guess there's different opinions. Maybe some people are going to say we don't want to change it. Men are not supposed to cry. But how would you convince them? Why do you think crying is healthy? Maybe you can, and how do we convince people and boys or young men?
Man, I wish I had the answer, because we probably wouldn't be talking here anymore if we had someone that had the answer. I think it's a lot about connecting with people about how the current way that we do things doesn't actually work. It doesn't work for them and it doesn't work for me. And being able to, through conversation, be it one-on-one or in a workshop in a group setting, or from a TED Talk stage like Jackie Katz or somebody, to talk about do you remember times where you were taught you were supposed to be this way and you didn't want to do that, it didn't actually work for you. And being able to build that empathy of folks to be like, oh right, like I like cooking and that's not supposed to be a manly thing to do, or I don't like sports, or I do have feelings and I want to express them, and it does feel bad to suppress them. And just getting that individual buy-in of like, oh right, this sucks, this isn't great, this doesn't work for me, to then be like, well we can be different, you can teach the other people in your life to be different, you can start modeling that difference and spiral it out from there.
Because I think there's this whole idea, almost this fear of emotions. If we take this example of emotions, right? Sure. That it's like weak to show emotions, especially negative emotions, to experience them, and that you always have to be strong and tough. And there's probably situations in life where we have to focus and kind of ignore our emotions.
Yep.
But I think actually it takes a lot of strength to be in the middle of your emotions or someone else's emotion and to hold that and
to not be too scared to feel them.
Yeah, and to feel that. And of course that doesn't mean punching people, like that's exactly not where you want to go with it.
Right.
But like allowing, let's say someone gets angry, right? And that you can really feel that anger inside of you, right? And maybe express it in a way that is healthy. Yeah,
that one. And that's right, is when you don't do that, when I don't do that, when other people don't do that and we try to suppress it, it comes out sideways, right? So then I'm actually mad at this injustice that I saw, but I feel like, oh, I'm not supposed to be, or I'm sad about it. I'm not supposed to cry because I'm a man, so I won't, and I'm pushing it down, and then later I'm going to snap at somebody about something totally unrelated because of this other emotion. So within MAP, Masculinity Action Project, we did a group called Reclaiming Closeness. We've done it a couple of times now. The first one was in the summer of 2020, and it was about race and masculinity and anger, and about creating the space together for the Black folks in our group to be able to express their really righteous rage and to be held in that, and to know that this multiracial group of people could hold space for them to express that anger, and it would be okay, that they wouldn't be punished or killed or otherwise ostracized because of it. And then we just did another round of it about grief this time, another one of how can we as a group come together and create the space to feel into big emotion together, and then what does that ripple out into other places in our life.
So you had people there who actually expressed those emotions, and you were kind of, how does it work?
I mean, it was on Zoom,
like,
so it's a little...
it was on Zoom.
We did it like a fishbowl, if you're familiar with that, where like a few people are talking and the rest are witnessing. We called it a rage bowl the first time around, so it was just Black folks who then wanted to have that convo as well could come on camera, everyone else stayed off camera, and we're just there holding space and witnessing.
And I find that very masculine. It's not just it's human. Like we can all do it, but I can't relate to that not being masculine actually anymore, right? Because it's so powerful if you're able to do that for someone or for yourself as well, right?
Right. Yep.
Wow, that's amazing. So what other aspects are there except now we talked about emotions and
we talked about emotions. I think a really important one to talk about is also outside of that individual, how can I change me or my relationships, but how can we take a stand for gender justice in the world as well. So doing supportive actions around abortion access, working with the Philadelphia Women's Center to bring a tour of mostly mask-identified people to see what does this clinic look like and what are the issues here, and donating money to keep it going, signing up to volunteer, having an event coming up soon about the disproportionate impact of incarceration on women.
Can you talk a bit about that? What's happening there? What is the disproportionate impact?
I'm excited to learn soon. The bits that I've heard just in the planning of it, we're having two speakers come. One who works with the Philly Justice Project for Women and Girls, another one works with Dignity Act Now. And they were talking about how right now in Pennsylvania, it looks as though we are decarcerating, that less people are being incarcerated year by year over the past couple of years. But if you disaggregate the data and look at it just in the binary gender for now, just at men and just at women, then men are being let out of prison and incarcerated much less, while women are being incarcerated more. But the story, the overall story is, yay, we're winning. There is a victory here around less people being incarcerated. And we see that a lot in, we call it criminalized surviving. So a lot of women who are in abusive relationships are pushed into criminal behavior by their abusive partner, whether it's selling drugs that they want sold and then getting caught for that, things in that realm, or for fighting back. And because of mandatory arrest laws that a lot of abolitionists don't support, then the survivor ends up getting arrested because the abusive partner is more manipulative, is willing to use the system against that survivor. So we see a lot more women incarcerated because of those things and more, but those are some examples.
Wow, interesting. Okay, and so you're taking action to make a difference there?
We're trying.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow, cool. Okay. And do you have any third thing we should do?
A third thing. Let's think. Yeah, right. What didn't we do yet?
We've got
to build.
That's less controversial than men read.
Right. Yeah, depending on what you're reading.
I like also the men are cooking. I mean, I think it's a man should cook. It's I like it.
Yeah, that's coming up on Monday. We're doing a cooking class.
Oh, really?
A cooking class and then a a workshop about intervening in everyday misogyny, we're calling it. So
Okay.
yeah, learning not just about how to cook the actual meal, but about how to, be mindful of making a list and tracking food in your house and cooking techniques and all of the labor that goes into the actual meal showing up at the table.
Yeah.
And then we're going to eat that meal together while we work through and practice scenarios for, addressing the coworker that always interrupts the woman or takes credit for her ideas, or how do you talk to your dad or uncle or whoever says really sexist things. So that's
How can people join these things?
Yeah.
Is there a website or?
we use the Lutheran Settlement House website, and it's not updated for regular events. So Instagram is where you could find us most likely. So it's at @map_Philly for Masculinity Action Project Philly.
Wow, that's so cool. But that would be only for people who identify as men then? Who join
We
it?
invite
Or
everyone of
anyone
any
could
gender
come
to
for-
come through. It's crafted
Cool.
at how can
Yeah.
you talk to men,
Yeah.
and so we know that is our work. Our being people who are mask aligned, and anyone who's interested is welcome to come. All the events are very open to anyone.
Oh, cool. Okay, let's see. What else do we have?
Did we forget anything else?
Men cry care. Men care. Yeah,
Definitely
they
that.
do, right?
Yeah. Yep.
They build, they forgive, and they love.
And they love.
I like
Hopefully.
it. I like it. Is there like a vision of a man, like of a more positive masculinity, or do you think that would be also dangerous to develop? Because then we're again.
Yeah, it's tricky, right? If we talk
yeah.
about healthy masculinity, we are just creating another box
Exactly.
to
You
be
have to
inside
be
of. Are
like
you in the
that.
toxic masculine box or
Yeah.
the healthy masculine box? And instead, we talk about having more of that spectrum of, right? Like sometimes it's healthy, or at least helpful and necessary to suppress emotion to deal with a crisis at hand.
Yeah.
It's having that as the only option and the always option, that's the problem. And so how do we less make a new box and more allow things in? It's like, okay, yep, this is helpful here and it's less helpful there. What about competition, right? When does it build community, when we can compete and have fun, and then when does it get in the way and create violence? And just surfacing and being mindful of the ways that our different traits that we've been taught to be have all the shadow side and the bright side at the same time.
Yeah, cool. And is there still room, do you think, for men and women, if we just talk about those two, to have differences? Is there still room to say, but I'm a man and that's important to me in a certain way, or does it have to be we are all the same? Like, what do you think?
Yeah. It's a tricky one.
It's a tricky one.
Yeah, I'm
right?
sorry.
For
Did you
women
finish?
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely tricky, especially knowing lots of trans folks who have fought for their whole lives to be witnessed in a particular identity. I'm not trying to take that away from anybody. And I think it's less about we all have to be the same and more that we all have to be ourselves.
Yes.
And if yourself is I'm a woman, then great. And if myself is I'm a man, great, or can be great, right? Outside of some of the violence that can come up.
Yeah.
And being clear and working together to determine what does that really look like.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Just becoming our true selves,
That
whatever
one.
that means, and loving and accepting ourselves and other people the way they are.
There it is. Nailed
Yeah,
it.
I love it, Toby. This was great.
Oh, thanks, Vera.
Yeah, thank you so much for talking with me. I will put the link to your Instagram in the description box. And
thank you.
if you have any comments about this, please comment below. Yeah, thanks for watching.